weekend saw Premier League and 2 FA Cup semi-finals. The cup matches in themselves were interesting and we'll come to them, but I'm joined now by John Giles to talk about all of the football. John, it's big now, every game, 5 games to go for the top teams. Liverpool play Everton tomorrow night in the local derby, which is, not ideal when there's no such thing as an easy local derby, particularly that game, Everton, Liverpool. And then Man City go to Brighton on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And you watched Arsenal, John, at the weekend against Wolves. They won the match, but Wolves were seriously depleted by injuries, weren't they?
Yes, I think they had a 15-year-old lad playing.
Yeah, yeah.
I watched the match. Well, Arsenal won well. They scored a second goal near the end of the match, but they were well on top and did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
To win the match and win it well.
Now they had their own blip, and all the top teams have. Liverpool had one, losing at home to Crystal Palace. The Arsenal, I watched the match. I thought Declan Rice was the man of the match by a mile. I told you, very, very, very good.
Yeah.
They look solid enough, but you always feel, particularly in the back four, Gabriel in particular, that there's a mistake in them.
Well, he's very, what do you call it, a bit of a headbanger, Raymond. He's always seemed to be wanting to kick somebody.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be composed in any situation.
Yeah.
He's good at certain things. He goes and meets the ball. I think he's a good winner of the ball.
Yeah.
But at a price, there's always something that he's. I mean, the week before he made a terrible pass when they were playing at home against Villa.
Yeah.
Villa beat them 2-0.
Beat them 2-0. They scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, but they could have been a lot further ahead of them, couldn't they? Over the 90 minutes.
They could have been ahead. They looked tired in that match, I mean.
Yes.
Arsenal, like most of the top teams, too many games.
Well, Arsenal and indeed Manchester City just come back from Champions League games this week.
Yes. And
considering that, I suppose, to go to Wolves and win, but it was a depleted Wolves team, wasn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I've got a son-in-law is a mad Wolves fan, and he was sort of dreading going to the match, because they had so many players. I think they had a 15-year-old playing.
Yes.
But Arsenal did it well. I think they were tired. They looked tired against Villa when Villa beat them. Like a lot of the teams up there, as you said early on. Too many games,
Now, Liverpool, John, away to Fulham, went 1-0 down, and Fulham have a good coach. Had some very good results in the last 6 or 7 weeks. Liverpool got the job done 3-1. John, what did you make of them?
I thought it was a good performance. He put a lot of players in that rested a couple of his main players.
Yeah.
But again, I think he'd recognise and would see them in training and that.
Yeah.
That they're playing so many matches that they're getting tired now, and sometimes very, very tired. And the Fulham are no easy marks. They can be very, very good. Actually, it gave Liverpool a good game, but Liverpool deserved to win and won well in the end.
Yeah, there's no doubt, John, about their ability to attack and to play with flair. I mean, Alexander-Arnold back in the team, scored a great goal from a free kick. It really was a good goal, and sprayed the ball around the pitch. The trouble with them is when they haven't got the ball, they're not hard to play against. And there's always a goal coming, and Crystal Palace got it the week before, and Fulham got it this week. An easy goal. I think Van Dijk is obviously a magnificent player in some respects, but he's not a great defender, is he?
No, I don't think they concentrate too much on defending. I mean, when I say not too much, not enough.
Yeah.
I think City do it as well. Like when they're going forward, everybody's going forward, and it's. I always thought, say when the ball's on the other side of the field, that the right back is round on the cover.
Yes.
Or vice versa on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't see that now. Everybody's forward. Say Van Dijk is on the centre circle and going forward.
Yeah.
Like the two fullbacks are way up the pitch. Yes. Everybody's way up the pitch. And if you lose the ball, or you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble. Like there doesn't seem to, well, certainly with Manchester City, and to a lesser extent Liverpool, no real emphasis on if we lose the ball. In other words, we're not going to lose the ball. Well, they hope they're not going to lose the ball. But I don't see there's any balance on defending and attacking.
Yeah.
And of course, Liverpool, as we know, have terrific attackers. I mean, even Salah and was left on the bench.
Yeah, and McAllister, who is a really good midfield player.
Two of the best players.
Yes.
And I think he's right to do it, because there's so many games now.
Yes.
There's just too many games for the players to be at their best all the time. So you need this big panel. And the players that he brought did their stuff.
Yeah.
On the day, they definitely did their stuff because, Fulham are no walkover.
Yeah, I mean, this was a big game, John. They played Atlanta on Thursday in the Europa League. They were gone because they lost the first leg at home 3-0. But he still played, a strong enough team. But they are playing and travelling. I mean, it isn't just playing, is it? It's the travelling, the hotels.
It's everything, Eamon.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
Well, Pep was going mad about it last week. Well, not mad, but he was having to go because he had to play in the cup on the Saturday.
Yeah.
All the other teams had seen some of the players that didn't play during the week were playing on a Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're asking too much of the players, and they're making more and more competitions, as we know. But they just finished up a lot of injuries in the teams, the top teams anyway, that are playing so many matches.
Now, there's the 3-horse race, which is Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City. It's one mistake, really, and you're gone. Arsenal made it at home to Villa.
Yeah.
Liverpool made it at home to Crystal Palace. So if City don't, if the match in hand they have, when you look at the table this morning, they've got a game in hand, and you could say, for argument's sake, that it's the game they play on Thursday night against Brighton away. Brighton are no soft touch either, John, if they have their best team out.
No.
But it's a question of, I suppose, resolve. And the Real Madrid defeat in the Champions League would have hurt Guardiola and his players, wouldn't it? I don't know how they lost the game, John. Do you?
No, it can happen, Eamon. Football is a game that you're never sure of anything, in it. Now, in the race for the Premiership, Eamon, it might do them a favour.
Yeah.
It could well do them a favour, and another couple of matches off, and then concentrating on that. We don't know, but there's so many games in it. It's too many injuries, too many players.
Yes.
Getting calmed down with injury, and it's ultimately it's a money maker all the time, Eamon. Extra matches all the time, and it's not right.
And very little care for the welfare of the players. While we're on Manchester City, they will have one big date, and they have a big date. It's against Manchester United in the cup final, an all Manchester final, John.
Yeah,
and we both watched United and Coventry.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you to tell us how bad Manchester United. They go 3-0 up against a team who are in the Championship. They're not in the conversation for promotion, although they've had a decent enough season. 3 down at Wembley, which is a hard place to chase the game. And Coventry, fantastic performance to get to 3-3 and ultimately lose in a penalty shootout. And they had a goal disallowed, John, to win it 4-3.
Yeah.
And it was disallowed by VAR.
Yeah. And then Shaman.
Yeah, somebody said if he had cut his toenails that morning, they'd have been okay.
Yeah.
It really, first of all, talk to me about Manchester United. They are a shambles.
Well, it was the game itself was typical of the present day Manchester United setup.
Yeah.
They go 3-0 up. The match looks like it's over, and they somehow manage to go back to get it back to 3-3.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. They can look actually it's a sign of a badly run team.
Yeah.
To be able to do what they did to get 3 up, and then to actually go to bits.
Yeah.
To go to 3-3. In other words, they didn't actually know what they were doing to get to 3-3.
Yeah.
Because if they did, they'd be able to do something about it. So it's a wing and a prayer.
Yeah.
All the time. Like 3-3, I thought it looked like it was going to be 5 or 6.
Yes.
And from nothing.
And when you consider Ten Hag has spent more than any other Premier League manager, spent 400 million in the 2 years he's been there, and he can't put a team on the field, and he never plays the same team 2 games in a row. But from Coventry's point of view, this is probably the biggest day in the club's history, and I'm sure their fans are very proud of them. They did themselves proud, didn't they, John?
They were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, like when we go back now over the years on cup matches and cup finals and say how did they do? I mean, in 20 years' time, they'll still be talking. I'm talking about the Coventry supporters. Will still be talking about this particular match. I mean.
Yep. And
they were, because they're proud of them.
Yes.
You know, they were a team. They were a second division team. Being 3-0 down, they could have packed it in. It could have been 6-0, but it wasn't. They fought their way back into it. Manchester United did what they did, which wasn't good, to really run the game and win the game. But from Coventry's point of view, I mean, as a day out, it's like an old-fashioned cup final day from years ago when the cup final was the cup final, or the Wembley was the place.
Yeah.
And to have this, and from the Coventry's point of view, you could see them after the match even. I know they were disappointed, but really proud of their team.
Yeah, and rightly so.
Yeah. And the opposite, Manchester United, Eamon. You know, some of the players didn't even go to the crowd.
No.
They knew what they'd done, how badly they'd done, and let themselves down and the club down in the situation. Yeah. Absolutely dreadful.
There's very little chance, I would think, John, that Ten Hag will survive. And looking at the way the team plays and the excuses he makes and the fights he's had with players all season, it seems. And then he's picking fights with the press now. He won't answer certain questions. He is responsible, and he's had every bit of support you could possibly want, hasn't he, in terms of money to buy players? You know, every chance, really.
I can't see him lasting.
No.
I'd be amazed if they, even if they win the cup, I'd be surprised
if they beat City.
The new owners keep him on.
Yeah, just to say about their attitude, you played in a Manchester United team that won the cup. I was at the match in 1963. You won 3-1 against Leicester, who were favourites going into the match. They'd had a good season in the league, and Manchester United had a bad season, and you were in the kind of
almost relegated in a relegation fight.
You were, and Leicester were a very good team. Frank McClintock and lots of really Gordon Banks, lots of really great players, good players, top class players. But the pride, I don't want to get maudling here, but wearing the Manchester United shirt, walking out in a cup final, I can remember the team, the real determination. This is a big, big day. In contrast to the Manchester United team that walked onto the pitch to play Coventry, a big contrast, I would say, John, mentally. It wouldn't have struck you, but it struck me.
Well, we had a bad season, Eamon. You know, we a lot of good players had a bad season, but when it came to the semi-final and final particularly, it was a real team.
Yes,
it was a real team, and the following season, although it might be a coincidence I wasn't there the next season, they did really, really well, Eamon.
Yeah,
you know, they brought a few players. Paddy Crowden had come into the team. Dennis Law had come into the team.
Yes.
And we never settled down together during the season. But when it came to the cup semi-final and the final, it was a real Manchester United team.
Yes.
On the day, you know, won well. Leicester were favourites, and then went on. I went on to Leeds from there, but the team went on to do extremely well after that. Eamon.
Yeah. It was and of course, it was only 5 years after the Munich air crash and the disaster. And the club was still in recovery mode. But what I was kind of referring to was the attitude.
The attitude was there, in the cup. We got into a relegation fight, which can happen, and then things go against you. But when it came to the cup, the actual cup itself, we obviously did well because we got to the final. And as you said earlier on, Leicester finished third or fourth in the league that year. Yeah. They were big favourites for the match.
They were, yeah.
But the United team on the day played as they should have done. There's a lot of talent in the team. Paddy Crowden had come in that year. Bobby. Actually, the two wingers was myself on the right and Bobby Charlton on the left.
Yeah.
With Dennis Law and David Herd up front.
Yeah.
We're very, very talented, very, very talented team. There's no doubt about that. And then went on from there. They did better the next season, and then the following season, I think they won the league, and just went on from that particular season.
Now, I want to move on, John, to West Ham. There's a story in the papers this morning that they're going to sack David Moyes. Now, they have had some bad results, but David Moyes has done a good job overall. They won a European trophy last year. I'm not sure what they call it, some Mickey Mouse trophy, but still, he's done well. They're in top half of the table, but it looks like he's on the way out, John.
Yeah, they're inconsistent, Damon.
Yes.
You see them some days. I've seen West Ham some days. They're really good.
Yeah.
And then the next time I see them, and they're giving goals away.
Yeah, well, it's Crystal Palace they played, and they got they gave up 5 goals. Now, they have a new coach, Palace, and they went to Liverpool last week and did a job on Liverpool. Yeah. But they really hammered West Ham. I think he's been a good coach wherever he's been, actually. He never had a chance at United.
No, he didn't have he never had a chance there.
But at Everton before that.
I think he comes under pressure all the time. I mean, if you look where they are in the league, they're not in a bad position in the league for what they are.
No, they're top half of the league, yeah.
Yeah, what they spend in that, I think he does a good job all the time. And he won that, as you say, it was a bit of a Mickey Mouse trophy the European thing last week. But I think he's done a really top-class job at West Ham. Yeah. But every time you read the paper after the result, Moyes is out, he's not going to be there next year and all that carry on. And the way it's looking, I don't think he is going to be there next year, Eamon.
Right.
I think they're making a mistake. I mean, he's done a big job since he's gone there. He doesn't spend a lot of money, keeps them up there. But it happens at some clubs, when the manager's having a bad time and then he has a good time, they don't see him having a good time at all, and especially where he's been there for a long time.
Yes.
And in today's game, the length of time he's been at West Ham is quite a long time now, Eamon.
Yeah.
And they're always looking for change. In other words, it's not good enough. They were in the Premiership, and we're not relegated. It's not good enough. We should be doing better. And you get that in every club. And I think he's in that situation now. I think he'll go.
Right. Let me ask you 2 things before I let you go, John. VAR, referees. Notts Forest played Everton. Massive game. Both of them have been docked points. Both of them in the relegation zone. Everton won 2-0. West Ham believed they had 3 penalty appeals thrown out. Now, I saw them. One of them was a certain penalty. It really was. Didn't get it. They're in the relegation zone, but almost every match we watch now, it could cost them an awful lot of money. It could cost their players, serious damage to their careers. And the referees are getting more arrogant. In this case, the referee refused to look at one. But the whole question of VAR, John, I was very for it. I think you were for it. Our friend Didi Hammam was against it. And we thought he was a bit mad. He was right, I think. I want to know.
I don't think he was right.
I want to know what you think.
I would still. I think if it stopped and you went back to where it was, it'd be a total disaster. Even worse than it is. It's not perfect. I know it's not perfect. And some of the things that we're doing, it's down to the referee's decisions. VAR is only a situation, Eamon, where if it was done properly, it would be very, very good. But there's a lot of mistakes being made by the referees themselves.
Yeah, and the guy who controls VAR is also a referee. I mean, that's the guy.
Well, that's what the big row. That's what the big row is about now on the Notts Forest Everton game at the weekend. Notts Forest were saying before the match, and they've got themselves into a lot of trouble
about
now.
Luton. Yeah, he's a Luton fan.
Yeah, that Stuart Atwell, who's a VAR man, is a Luton supporter and is therefore biased against them.
Yeah.
Now, that's very hard to prove, Eamon, and it's very hard to say.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to back off it a little bit now in that situation. But as we know, VAR has done everybody a bad deed.
Yes.
It's not just Stuart Atwell and not Forrest.
Well, why should we keep it then, John?
They're trying to pie back from that. But
why should we keep it? Why should we keep it?
Keep VAR.
Yeah.
And go back to where it was.
Well, go back to, Or
I think,
let me make another suggestion. That you use it for offside and you use it for the goal line. The referees watch twitches on his arm if the ball's over the line.
Oh, well, that's a good one. That's been done for years.
No, that's very good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I watched Barcelona, Real Madrid on Sunday, and it looked forever a goal with the naked eye and even with television replays, but the referees' watch didn't budge.
It's brilliant. That's brilliant.
That's a good one. And maybe an offside too, maybe. But the handball situation now is crazy. I saw a match at the weekend.
But Eamon, just have to stop you there. The reason that's terrible is that the referees, or whoever it was, I assume it's the referees, have changed it from our day, where if the ball, your arm is in a certain position. I mean, this is ridiculous. This has nothing to do with VAR. This is the referees making a situation where it's a handball. In our day, it had to be, if it was accidental, it wasn't a handball.
Yeah.
Now, if the player the centre half goes up and he has to have his arm somewhere and it hits his arm, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Now, VAR haven't done that. The referee's situation, or whoever's done it, has done that. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that we go to see in the match. We saw, now, centre half, you can't do anything aiming jumping, as we know, without using your arms.
No.
And in our day, if it was accidental, there was no penalty.
Yes.
But now that's simple. Now they're saying your arm is in the wrong position, and it's a penalty.
Yeah.
VAR's not doing that. VAR is obeying what the referees want to do. In other words, he's showing VAR, he's jumped up, he hasn't meant to handle the ball, and his arm is in a bad position, so it's a penalty.
But that's very arbitrary, isn't it, John? I mean, sometimes they're given, sometimes they're not given. I saw a match.
It's ridiculous, Eamon. I mean, the new rule, forget about anything else. The new rule is ridiculous. Some of the new rules they're bringing out, especially the handball situation, is absolutely stupid. And of course, VAR comes into it because he says, I did handle his ball, but it's accidental. You can't do it, Eamon. The centre half can't play if he's jumping up and then somebody knocks him away a little bit and he hits his hand accidentally.
So you want to keep it?
That's not a penalty.
You want to keep it?
Yeah, I wouldn't get rid of it, because if we got rid of it, it would all the things that we say, they'd be 10 times worse. Eamon.
Right. I saw a match at the weekend where there was a handball, there was a shot. Defenders in the box hit his hand, and there was an appeal. The referee went to VAR. He said, no penalty. But he didn't give a corner either. So what do you make of that? The ball went for a corner.
He might have got lost in that, Eamon.
Yeah.
He might have got lost in between what he did, and that's a mistake.
Right.
What we're really talking about is the rules, Eamon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you played in the time, we played at the same time, where the centre half went up and he's knocked over a bit and he hits his hand.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that's accidental. He didn't mean to do that. Now it goes to VAR, and the VAR says that's a penalty. Yeah. That's because the referees have changed the rules. The referees are not innocent in this situation.
Well, my belief is that Didi was right, and I was a great enthusiast for it, as you were. Let me ask you finally, John. There are a lot of people listening to this who are Leeds fans. I feel sorry for them, because Leeds are potentially a big club, certainly a Premier League club. Last night, they won 4-3 away to Middlesbrough, which in the context, given where they are now, that's an important result. It keeps them in with a chance of automatic promotion.
Yeah.
I thought they were awful, John. I've seen them a few times
I watched
now.
The match, I mean, they weren't at their best. They get in front and then they almost blew it.
Yeah.
But in relation to other clubs, and the money situation, I mean, what Mr. Farke has done since he's come there is remarkable.
The coach, he was at Norwich. I think he got 2 promotions at Norwich, John.
Yeah,
and
he
then
got 2 relegations and he got them up. Yeah. He did a really big job. And he's in a similar situation, Leeds. Norwich didn't have 2 bob to rub together, Eamon.
Yeah.
He did a great job there.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the Leeds situation, he's done a remarkable job again. Because he hasn't been given, he hasn't bought anybody.
No money,
and they actually got rid of some senior players, and he's got a lot of young lads coming in, and they've done remarkably well.
Right.
But he needs backing, Eamon.
Yes.
You look at the teams that come up nowadays, the 3 teams that came up with Forest and that.
Yeah.
They're in trouble straight away because they don't have the finances to compete in a big way in the Premiership.
Yeah.
Now, what they're doing at Leeds, what he's doing at Leeds is a miracle situation.
Yes.
Eamon. He hasn't spent 2 bob. I don't remember him buying anybody. He's got players there, and he's doing it. And he's not going to be where they are. And if they do get promotion, to be honest, and if they don't spend any money, they're going to be in big trouble. They're going to be like the other teams coming up.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've been fair with him. I mean, the crowd are behind him. The crowd are behind the team, and they're a fanatical crowd. And he's done a great job. And they got away with it last night in the match.
Yeah.
But I would be very, very fearful for them if they get promotion and they don't spend any money.
Yeah, they'll be killed. Okay, John, as always, it's great to talk to you, even if we have a VAR difference between us. But it's great to talk to you, as always. We're grateful to John